some news. A federal judge issuing an order temporarily blocking Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, from accessing the Treasury Department's payment systems. Now, this comes after 19 attorneys general filed suit accusing the administration of breaking federal law by giving DOGE access to federal computer systems that include sensitive personal data.
And another judge is temporarily blocking President Trump's order plan to place more than 2,000 USAID workers on leave. The halt's plan gives to give overseas aid workers just 30 days to move back to the country on the government's dime. The judge claims it would have exposed workers and their families to unwarranted risk and expense.
And those rulings from the bench adding hurdles to Trump's plans to slash government wasteful spending. But despite the block on actions to scale back USAID, crews have already taken down signage from the agency's DC headquarters. You gotta just love all this. Let's just talk about this, Charlie. From your both of you guys are actually DC guys. I know you're a rural guy, but you're a DC guy in a lot of ways. You know what's going on. Just how absolutely explosive
it's insane.
And revolutionary is what we have seen in the last
Griff and I were just talking about it a minute ago off camera. It's like you're 3 weeks in or going into our third week, and you literally can't walk away from your phone for 10 minutes.
I know.
Because then you come back and there's some whole other thing that is going on that Trump's doing. And it's like, and these are all things that conservatives have sort of pined for and talked about.
Fantasized about.
Yeah, fantasized about, exactly. And then Trump is just like doing it all. And doing it all like 3 times in a day, like a Tuesday. We're going to shut down this. We're going to shut down this, and we're going to shut down this. I do think it's interesting though that you've got these legal challenges, and do the courts really want to get involved in the particulars of how the executive, the head of the executive branch, wants to curtail spending and be a better guard of taxpayer dollars? I think it's a pretty short runway for justice on that.
It's interesting from that legal angle that you're talking about, and do the courts want to get involved? On a more basic level, it's putting Democrats in a terrible position where they're like defending USAID and like transgender operas in foreign countries and like just all this crazy stuff they're uncovering. And there's more to come. I mean, DOGE has only reached a few agencies. I heard I've got some sources. They just arrived at transportation. Who knows what they'll uncover there? So like I had a good source there.
Amazing
but it's like, one after and another. And we're just gonna keep seeing this. And how do the Democrats defend this? Because it's not popular.
So this is such an important point. And for the conservative movement, I started in talk radio in the 90s, producing Ollie North's radio show when Sean Hannity was taken off, when Rush Limbaugh was the king. Back to Rush Limbaugh days in the 90s, conservatives have been talking about overbloated bureaucratic government and how it does not serve the American people. And to Charlie's point, here we are 30 years later, and Trump said, I'm taking a wrecking ball to it. And it's actually happening. And it's really remarkable. And what you're finding is that Democrats aren't defending the actual transgender opera in Colombia or the DEI program in Serbia. They're literally showing that they are addicted to the status quo. And the addiction to the status quo is this overbloated bureaucracy that is wasting American taxpayer dollars in places like USAID.
I think it's more than addiction. I think their entire apparatus has been upheld by this. They have been funding media outlets. They have been funding, revolutions in other countries. We have been funding all kinds of stuff that the American people never signed up for. And there are people that are profiting off that. There are NGOs. There's a whole mediocre class of people who have been surviving off of the largesse of the American people through these shadowy networks within these agencies. And luckily, out of these agencies, we're also getting some whistleblowers to help us see not just all the stuff that the little engineers, the 20-year-olds as they're calling them, are uncovering, but people within the agencies who have been disgusted with what they've seen and are coming forward. Here's somebody who was an employee at USAID. He was on Jesse Waters' show, and and talk to also to the Fox Digital people as well. This is from an op-ed. He said how USAID went woke and destroyed itself. He said USAID was formed in 1961 to counter Soviet efforts to spread communism in the developing world, to transition former communist countries into U.S. allies and respond to global disasters. But sometime during the Clinton administration, USAID began to promote radical social agendas such as population control. Under President Barack Obama, LGBT and climate ideologies were added. And then President Joe Biden topped it off with transgenderism. Institutionally, its political culture would eventually skew far left, purged of conservatives and independents. And here is
but just real quick, that's somebody who loves USAID and loves the work USAID does, but recognizes that it's completely gone off the rails. Yeah. And then a completely separate whistleblower went on Jesse last night and basically said the same thing. And again, these are the people that love the mission, but realize it's gone completely off the rails.
I was elevated to be the acting deputy chief of staff of the Global Health Bureau during COVID, and I immediately observed incredible delay and arrogance on the part of career bureaucrats who I fought and frankly cleaned up their mess. And instead of being appreciative that we avoided an embarrassment, I was retaliated against. I had to sue them under the Whistleblower Protection Act, which is detailed in my op-ed. And then they proceeded to botch 10 times more money. I should add, this was under the career bureaucrats. There were political appointees like our recent assistant administrator, Atul Gawande, who did a good job of streamlining bureaucracy. And that's where there are important programs that I'm concerned are going to be thrown out with a bureaucracy that has grown over 6 decades without enough accountability. There have been efforts to reform it, not successful. And so I hope that this can be an act of creative destruction, which is a good thing, instead of just total destruction, which would be the concern of overreach.
Sounds like the American people, from what I'm hearing and feeling around the country, and I am in touch with a lot of people around the country, they're willing to take that gamble. They're willing to see some good stuff just ends up getting cut just to get rid of this whole Leviathan.
Yeah, and look, both President Trump and Elon Musk and others have said, you look at things like PEPFAR and combating AIDS in Africa, important things aren't going to die here. The USAID, of course, will have the purview, State Department overseeing it, and can keep these programs that are serving a purpose in place, and American people will support that. It's just the waste in our hard-earned tax dollars that we're going to rein in a little bit.
Joni Ernst talked earlier this week that she tried to get oversight, and many senators have been saying this. They've been trying to get oversight over USAID and get some transparency. They were never allowed in to look at it. So maybe you have to sort of get rid of all of it, and then we can go, oh, this is a good program to help children with AIDS.
Which is preposterous, by the way, because Congress created USAID.
I know.
It's for a lot of them, it is a religion, but it's also become, as you point out, a structure from which they make lots of money.